Shajaya in eastern Gaza, a symbol of the devastation left by the war between the Israeli army and Palestinian militants in the summer of 2014. At the height of Operation Protective Edge, Israel launched an assault here of massive intensity. Many houses were reduced to dust, others were severely damaged. According to the UN, not one of the 10,000 homes destroyed has been rebuilt to date. This is where we meet Samir Et-Aish. He takes us to the top floor to see what is left of his apartment.
A missile fired by an F-16 crashed through our ceiling, falling here but not exploding.
Israel is less than 3 kilometers away. Palestinian militants took positions here during the fighting. This father of 4 received a call from Israeli authorities warning him that an attack against his building was imminent, leaving him only minutes to get his family out.
Over there used to be our bedroom. As you can see, all of our belongings are still here. We could hardly save anything. All of our clothes and those of the children are buried under debris. We had no time to get out of here.
The official objective of Operation Protective Edge was to stop rocket attacks on Israel from Gaza. It lasted 50 days and, according to the United Nations, left over 2,000 Palestinians dead. Hundreds of thousands of Gazans had to leave their homes. Samir and his family moved into one of the rare rooms in this building, which is still habitable.
The walls are full of cracks and seem ready to collapse at any moment. And look at my children. They're being eaten alive by mosquitoes. Just look at their arms.
While the younger ones bake bread, the others guard the sacks of flour received through international aid. For the Et-Aish family, life before the war was modest, but now it is miserable. The future looks bleak, and their anger is almost palpable.
As God is my witness, our lives have become hell on earth. Just look at the situation in our country, the economy, everyone's morale in general, or even electricity. There is no such thing as life in Gaza. Gaza has become a cage, a small suffocating cage. You're better off in prison. At least in prison, there is someone who gives you something to drink and to eat every day. You have a roof over your head.
When the war ended, Hamas, the Islamist party which controls Gaza, claimed victory. It promised the blockade would be lifted, a new port would open, and other improvements would be made. None of it happened. Gaza remains closed. Little is allowed to enter or leave the territory, neither people nor goods. Reconstruction requires massive efforts, but the means are lacking. Even the most well-off are suffering. Wael Selmi is a property developer who has several housing projects in Gaza.
When the building next door was bombed, 3 floors of mine were destroyed. I've had to rebuild it all.
The bomb damage next door has not been good for business.
When my potential buyers see this, they're afraid. They want to buy where it's safe and not be close to targeted areas. What's more, all this debris is so off-putting that it's hard to close any deals.
If there is one thing everyone in Gaza seems to be looking for, it is cement, which today is as essential as it is rare.
These are the last workers I have. I always try to give people the impression that we are still building on my work sites. We are getting set to finish a marble facade, but all we have left is 3 sacks of cement, and after they are gone, no one will be able to work any longer. The supply points are all closed, so there is no solution.
Wael says he has been losing $3,000 a day since the war. To attract investors, he needs to show that his projects are making progress. His time is spent in an endless search for cement, along the Gaza Strip. And often he has to turn to the black market to find supplies.
What we have here is gravel that was made by crushing bricks from houses destroyed during the war. We've got gravel and sand, but no cement. That's the problem.
There are a few sacks here. But even if Wael is ready to pay 3 times the usual price, the supply foreman refuses to sell.
They have cement here, but it's reserved for government projects, for instance, for schools. This cement is only for them. For private work sites like mine, there's nothing. The foreman said he might be able to get me some in 2 months. It all goes to projects in the public sector, but not for people like us.
The blockade and the war have brought Gaza's economy to the brink of collapse. The World Bank says unemployment is now at 43%, the highest in the world. According to the UN, over 80% of the population depends on humanitarian aid. Arwem Hanna works for the international NGO Oxfam. Today, she is taking a family to the supermarket.
Do you come here every week? What do you usually buy?
I buy oil, thyme, dairy products, lentils and rice, and sometimes more.
No money changes hands. The mother simply shows her identity card and a voucher given to her by the NGO.
The system is now part of our lives. We wouldn't survive without it.
Next, Arwa goes to check the living conditions of the people in her care. Those who reside in this makeshift shelter have no electricity and no running water. They lack even the most basic amenities. Like everywhere in Gaza, the plumbing has been destroyed. But people here believe worse is yet to come.
At this point, we're all waiting for the next war to start. We live in fear of each new day. We all but know that it has to start up again.
She is an example of the suffering of the Gaza population, and what she needs is beyond only the provision of food or safe drinking water. She also has an important need, which is feeling secured and making sure that this will not happen again to her house, to her family, to the livelihood of the family. And this is what we are hoping and we are calling for, that this suffering will have an end, the blockade will be lifted, and there will be a long-term ceasefire that will bring security to the population of Gaza.
Driven by a desire to escape from this narrative, to forget the conflict, to survive in Gaza by being there without being there, Nida Badwan locked herself in this room for the last 15 months. She is an artist who lives like a recluse at the top of one of Gaza's numerous high-rises. She uses this space to create a universe of her own.
In this bedroom, I've created a world, both different and far away from the real world. That way, I live in a universe of colours, because outside in Gaza, all is grey and frightening.
Her decision to shut herself away followed a brush with the Hamas police. They didn't like the way she was dressed and criticized what they called her lack of modesty. She was wearing overalls and a hat. There is little room for artists in Gaza, a territory where there are no art galleries, no theaters.
I don't like to talk about this much. What I can tell you is that as an artist, especially a woman artist, I don't fit in. But every artist in Gaza has trouble being accepted. There is no freedom.
Out of her isolation have come 14 self-portraits, which she has produced as a series. She calls it 100 Days of Solitude.
2, 3 weeks, 1 month. It depends, but sometimes it takes me 2 months to take the simplest of photos. Because what I'm looking for is the perfect lighting. It only comes through a small window in this room. Because I only want it to light just this part of the wall. That only happens in the middle of winter, in January.
While Nida Badwan's work travels around the West Bank and beyond, she herself cannot leave Gaza. Israel has refused her a travel permit, and the border crossing with Egypt is closed.
Today, an exhibit of my work is opening in Bethlehem, but I cannot go outside of Gaza because I was again refused a permit. What more can I say? I have to stop talking, otherwise I will start to cry. I'm like that. I cannot live without art. There's nothing I can do. I cannot change myself. I have nothing left to say. Please stop filming me. I want this to stop.
For now, Nida's photos have not been shown in Gaza. Back in Shajaiya, we look up Samir Et Aish again. Like many others, he has no more work. To pass the time, he and his friends smoke while talking about Gaza and their future.
If one day I had a chance to quit Gaza, I wouldn't take it. I will never leave. There is no country as beautiful as mine. Even when I leave my neighborhood, my home, just to go into the center of Gaza, after an hour, I already want to go back home and to my neighborhood. I want to remain with those who have stood by me and resisted. I want to be near my family and my friends. We have too many shared memories.
Let me tell you about our situation. It is impossible. These governments have become the source of our troubles. They're in a confrontation and we're caught in the middle. We're the ones who pay the price. It all happens behind our backs to rob us. Anyone can see that. Me, like my friend, we have the same goal. We want peace of mind. We have the same end in sight. We want a life. We want justice and peace.
One year after Protective Edge, sporadic rocket attacks have started again, and Israel's Air Force is striking back. Unless there is an immediate improvement in the infrastructure for health, water, sanitation, and
Gallagher Fenwick revisiting Gaza for us. Well, that's all from this week's edition. You can catch it again, of course, and all the previous editions as well on our website. That's at france24.com. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more.